It was one of those gray mornings when the city seemed to wake up slower than usual. The air was cool, the roads still damp from last night's rain, and inside a cramped little garage on the corner of Maple and 3rd, the sound of clinking tools broke the silence. Ethan wiped the grease from his hands onto a rag that had seen better days. His garage wasn't much peeling paint on the walls, a single flickering light, and just enough space for one car at a time. But for him, it was everything. He wasn't just a mechanic by trade, he was a survivor. Life had never handed him an easy card. His father had left when he was 10, his mother worked herself sick just to keep food on the table, and Ethan had dropped out of school early to help. He never complained, his hands learned the language of engines, and his heart learned the language of sacrifice. That morning, as he poured himself a cheap cup of coffee, he heard the unmistakable sound of tires screeching outside. Then bang! A car door slammed, followed by the uneven sound of footsteps hurried, limping, desperate. He stepped outside. And that's when he saw her. A young woman, no older than 30, clutching her leg as she stumbled toward the garage. Her clothes looked expensive but were ripped at the knee, her face pale with pain. "Please," she gasped, leaning against the doorway. "I fell, my leg." Ethan dropped his coffee instantly. Hey, sit down. Don't move too much." He grabbed an old stool, guided her onto it, and knelt down to check her injury. Her ankle was swollen badly, and the cut along her shin looked painful. "I'm not a doctor," Ethan said, "but I know enough to help. Just hold still." Her eyes darted nervously. I don't have my purse." "I can pay you later, please don't call anyone right now." Ethan frowned. There was something unusual in the way she said it, but he didn't press. Instead, he carefully washed her wound with the little first aid kit he kept for the rare accidents around the shop. His hands were rough from years of work, but they were gentle as he wrapped her leg. When he finally looked up, she was staring at him not with fear, but with disbelief. "You're helping me just like that?" she asked softly. Ethan chuckled. "What, you expect me to throw you back on the street?" "Relax. You don't need to pay me. Not everything's about money." Her lips trembled, as if she wasn't used to hearing those words. She whispered, almost to herself, "Not everything's about money." When he offered her water, she smiled faintly. "Thank you. I'm Claire." "Ethan," he replied simply. For the next half hour, Ethan kept her comfortable, adjusted her bandages, even managed to find an old crutch someone had left behind years ago. Before she left, she reached into her pocket, found nothing, and looked embarrassed. I really don't have anything on me," she stammered. "Not even my phone. But I promise I'll come back and repay you." Ethan shook his head. "Don't worry about it. Just take care of yourself, all right?" Claire's eyes lingered on him, almost searching, as if she wanted to say more. But then she nodded and left, limping carefully down the street. Ethan figured he'd never see her again. But he was wrong. A month passed. Life went on. Ethan struggled to keep the garage running. Rent was overdue, bills piling up, and customers were few. Yet, despite the stress, he never regretted helping Claire. He often wondered if she was okay. Then, one Friday afternoon, just as he was closing shop, a sleek black car pulled up in front of his garage. The kind of car Ethan had only ever seen in magazines. Out stepped a tall man in a suit, followed by her. Claire. But this time, She wasn't limping. She was radiant. Confident. Dressed in an elegant outfit that spoke of wealth and power. For a moment, Ethan didn't recognize her. She walked toward him with a warm smile. "Ethan," she said softly. His eyes widened. "Claire, you look different." "I told you I'd come back," she replied. The man in the suit stepped forward. "Mr. Ethan Hayes." Yeah," Ethan answered cautiously. "This is Ms. Claire Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Enterprises." Ethan froze. His rag slipped from his hand. CEO Whitmore Enterprises was one of the biggest companies in the state. He looked back at her in disbelief. Claire took a step closer, her eyes never leaving his. "That day, you didn't know who I was. You didn't care. You just helped me. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" Ethan rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. I wasn't thinking about all that. You were hurt. That's all that mattered." Her smile softened. "And that's why I'm here." She explained that she had been on her way to a private meeting that day when she slipped and injured her leg. Embarrassed and unwilling to draw attention, she had fled without telling anyone. "But then I found you," she said. "And you reminded me of something money can't buy: kindness." Ethan didn't know what to say. Then came the twist he never expected. "I want to help you," Claire continued. "Your garage, it deserves better. You deserve better. Let me invest. Let me give back what you gave me." Ethan shook his head immediately. No. I didn't help you to get anything in return. I'm not for sale." Claire laughed softly. "I know. And that's exactly why I trust you. This isn't charity, Ethan. This is a partnership." He hesitated. His pride told him to refuse. But her sincerity, the way she looked at him, not as a CEO, not as a millionaire, but as a person, melted his defenses. Over the next weeks, Claire kept her word. She helped renovate his garage, brought in more customers, and taught him about running a business. Ethan, in return, reminded her of simple joys: fixing cars with bare hands, drinking coffee in paper cups, laughing at silly jokes. Their worlds were so different, yet they found themselves drawn to each other. Late nights turned into long conversations, business meetings turned into walks in the park. And slowly, something deeper blossomed. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Ethan finally found the courage to ask, "Claire, why me? You could have anyone. Someone richer, smarter, more, in your league." She looked at him tenderly. "Because you saw me when I was vulnerable. Because you cared when no one else would. Because with you, Ethan, I'm not a CEO. I'm just Claire." His heart raced. And before he could respond, she leaned closer, their lips meeting in a kiss that sealed the truth neither of them could deny. Months later, the once struggling garage had transformed into a thriving business, still humble, still Ethan's, but now with a future. And by his side was Claire, not just his partner in business, but in life. At their small wedding, Ethan's friends whispered in amazement. A poor mechanic and a millionaire CEO, it sounded like a fairy tale. But to Ethan and Claire, it was simply the result of one act of kindness that changed everything. As they exchanged vows, Claire's voice trembled with emotion. "You gave me help when I had nothing to give in return. You showed me that love isn't built on wealth, but on compassion. And for that, Ethan, I will love you for the rest of my life." Ethan smiled, holding her hands tight. and you showed me that even someone like me deserves happiness. That love doesn't care about money, or status, or titles. It just finds us when we least expect it. Their kiss was met with cheers, but for them, the world had gone silent. It was just the two of them proof that kindness can create miracles, that love can bloom across the widest divides. And in that moment, Ethan realized something he'd always believed deep down: sometimes, the smallest good deed can change your life forever.